right, so for those of you who aren't familiar with us, so Arizona Children's Association has a really strong mission. Our mission is to protect children, empower youth, and strengthen families. It's pretty straightforward. We really are focused on the work of making sure that children are safe. Our specialty also is with those youth who are aging out or who have already aged out of the child welfare system, so empowering those individuals to be the best they can be. And then obviously, anytime you work with kids, the number one support for all children should be their families. So helping ensure that families are all strengthened is very important to us. We do that by having a vision that every Arizona family has the resources and supports that they need to be safe, strong, and resilient. So Arizona Children's Association, we were founded in 1912. Our creation story is really very interesting. A group of women came together and were really bothered by the fact that children who were at that time considered orphaned were being sent to California for adoption because there weren't really any services or homes available for children who were considered orphans in Arizona. So a very industrious and strong group of women came together and founded Arizona's Children. It was called Arizona's Children Home at the time, and that's how we've all evolved since then, from 1912. We're one of the oldest and largest statewide child welfare and behavioral health nonprofit agencies in Arizona, and we like to say that we're obviously the best resource for helping children and families across the state of Arizona. A little bit about myself. So I originally am from the Midwest. I'm from Kansas originally. My husband and I moved here from Kansas City, Missouri. I started out my career actually planning to be a teacher. So I taught for about a year and quickly discovered that I'm not meant to be in a classroom teaching. And so shortly after that, I quickly landed in a position as a foster care case manager at Catholic Charities of Kansas City, Missouri. And that's where the child welfare bug really bit me, and have been really involved in child welfare and social service programs ever since. When we relocated to Arizona, I started my career with what was then called Child Protective Services. I started out as an investigator in Phoenix, and it gradually worked my way up into policy at the statewide level, and then was the administrator for Child Protective Services for 2 years, overseeing all of the statewide Child Protective Services offices, the Child Abuse Hotline, as well as our quality improvement programs. It was really a great experience. I learned a great deal from it. And that was also where I became familiar with Arizona's Children's Association. ASCA had been a contractor with the state, and that's how I got to work with them during that time. After exiting at the state, this was one of the first places that I looked to. And I was fortunate, and about 6 years ago, I was hired on as the Chief Compliance and Quality Officer here at ASCA. I really enjoyed that position. We really grew and thrived in our compliance and quality department. And then a year ago in May, we had a pretty significant tragedy here at ASCA. Our CEO, Denise Ensdorf, passed away unexpectedly. Denise was really, as you probably saw during the slide, she really was the matriarch of our agency and really helped move us forward as an agency with high quality services. So following her passing, I was then identified as the interim CEO and then assigned as the full president and CEO in September of last year. So I've now been in this role for a year. So it's been quite exciting. I've really enjoyed my year in this position. And when I assumed the role, I really wanted us to keep our focus on being the #1 provider of children and family services in Arizona. And I believe that we're definitely on our way to getting that #1 mark in place. So to do that, we have a wide array of services that we offer. All of our services are considered to be trauma-focused, strengths-based, and family-centered. Those are all really key to us. We are really focusing on making sure that we're all a trauma-informed agency. Many of the clients that we deal with went through some pretty severe trauma in their lives. And so making sure that we're receptive and aware of that and our treatment and support of those families and clients is really important. As I mentioned, so we are statewide. So we do offer our services in all 15 counties across Arizona. And we're really proud to say that we've served over 40,000 children and families each year across the state. So we really do have a broad reach and a significant impact on those communities across the state. Out of those 15 counties, we have 17 offices located across the state where we do serve, as you'll see, a number of those programs there. And I'll kind of go through some of these programs here in a moment, but we're constantly evaluating and determining where our impact would be most beneficial. And so that's something that our board of directors, in conjunction with our executive team, continues to look at as we move forward. So I'm going to go through some of our programs now. So as I mentioned, our sort of centerpiece or foundational program that really started our agency was our adoption program. And then that really kind of grew into a foster care and adoption program. So we currently still do foster care and adoption. We're actually one of the largest foster and adoptive service providers across Arizona. So we have a number of families all the way up clear north of the Grand Canyon, actually, clear down into Douglas and Nogales. So we cover all ends and all corners of the state. And I'm really excited about that. We have some wonderful foster families who truly, especially during this pandemic, have made significant sacrifices to really help the most vulnerable children across Arizona. Those folks who are able to open up their homes, their hearts, and their families, it really is a significant impact. And we all know that based on the research that having children who do unfortunately have to be removed from their families, having them placed in a family-like setting is always preferred over any type of congregate setting or anything along those lines. So we're really proud to have such a robust and strong foster care and adoption program across the state. Our other really large program, of course, is our behavioral health program. So our behavioral health program is also pretty diverse and significant. So as I mentioned, we have 17 offices across the state. 15 of those offices are actually outpatient care facilities. So we do focus on outpatient treatment. Our focus obviously is on children birth to age 18. However, we also do serve those kids who are considered transition age youth. So we have some clients that go up to ages 23 or 25. In addition, it's really difficult to treat children unless you also treat families. So we also treat adults as part of that. So as part of family therapy, we provide those services. If we have parents or individuals who have some more general mental health issues, we also can provide assistance with that. We also are really proud to say that we have a very strong psychiatric program. So all of our locations are able to be served by psychiatrists or nurse practitioners who specialize in child psychiatry. And so we're really proud of the number of providers that we've been able to do to assist as one portion of a treatment modality for our children and families. We also have a pretty significant crisis response program as well. So it's sort of twofold. We do contract with the health plans to assist those children who first come into DCS care. So we provide what's called rapid response assessments. So these are children who have just been removed, and we go in to do a behavioral health, mental health assessment for those children within the first 72 hours of them coming into care to ensure that they have the behavioral and mental health support that they need during this really challenging time in their life. So we do that on an on-call basis. So we're on call for that 24/7, 7 days a week. We also have a really strong program in our Tucson area called Las Familias. And our Las Familias program focuses on individuals who are victims of sex abuse, both as sexual assault victims as adults, and those adults who were victimized as children when they were younger, and then obviously for children who've also been sexually assaulted. So we have a really strong program there that's been in that community for quite a long time. That paired with our trauma program. So as I mentioned, we're a trauma-informed program. So we also provide trauma services specifically at our Tucson office and then throughout various locations in Maricopa County, and are always looking for ways that we can expand that to our other offices as well. Probably one of the newest programs that we have that we're significantly proud of is our neurosequential model of therapeutics. So this is a really innovative program that was developed by Dr. Bruce Perry. So as it states here, Dr. Bruce Perry developed the NMT, which is an evidence-based, trauma-informed, brain-based approach to clinical problem solving. So what we do basically is we do an assessment of the child and conduct an interview to gather information. Once we do all that information, we complete what's called a brain map. And that brain map allows our clinicians to really identify techniques and therapeutic approaches to help children where they've had specific trauma to areas of their brain. And so it's really groundbreaking, and the stories that I've heard from the individuals who've went through this and their families it's truly unbelievable. It's very impactful, and we're really honored to be able to provide this service, and we're continuing to grow this program as well. So we're very excited about that. On our child welfare side, we have our family preservation and reunification program. So this is a really unique program where individuals who still have their children in the home might have some risk or safety factors that need to be addressed in order for the children to safely remain in their home. So this is what DCS puts in place to help prevent removal of children. So our staff go in, we have a therapist and a caseworker who go in to provide resources, support, therapy, and guidance for these families. And it's really helped, obviously, to reduce trauma. Our hope is obviously to prevent the removal of children, because that also is something that we want to help, is to strengthen those families in line with our mission. On the back end, once children have been removed and it's time for them to go back home, we also have reunification teams who do the same things. We help with that transition to the children back home, help set up, work rules and schedules and plans, and help the family readjust to reunifying. Again, it's a really great program with the focus on our mission of keeping those families strong and together. Another program that we have is our Kinship Services program. So it's exactly what you would think it would be. So our Kinship Services program really focuses on supporting relatives or fictive kin who might be tied to a child. And we can serve both formal and informal kinship families. So what that means is we might have families come to us who aren't involved with DCS. A grandparent or something who's helping care for their grandchild might come to us and say, hey, I really need assistance. So we can help with, food banks, diapers, clothing. We also can help with legal assistance. So if they need legal assistance in caring for their grandchild, or if they would need some type of social service supports, we can help with all of that. For families who are involved with DCS, we also can provide assistance and help them determine whether it's appropriate to become licensed, what it would be like to work through the DCS system, and all of those types of things. So we've had a really strong program at our care center in Tucson, which has been a part of that community for over 20 years, quite a long time. We also have kinship services that are part of all of our foster care programs as well, because we do help with home assessments and those types of things for children who need that, children and families who need those services. The other thing I want to mention before I go on to this slide too is that last year we were really fortunate. We received the National Award for our kinship program, actually. Mutual of America provided us with a $25,000 gift, and we were identified as one of the top 10 programs in the country. So we're really excited and honored to have received that, and thank Mutual of America for their partnership with that. So another service that we have that a lot of folks might not know about is our family education and support services. So this is really our early childhood development programs. These are all voluntary programs. Most of them are free of charge, and they come in two different forms. So we have some where it's more of a class setting, where we can, when they're in person, we can assist with childcare, and then we can provide some skills training and learning for parents who want to learn more, especially on that birth to 5 population, in terms of how to help with their child's development and growth. And then we also have our Parents as Teachers program, which is a more in-person, one-on-one program where we go into your home and really do some hands-on work with you and your newborn or your young child to help with their development and your parenting skills. It's one of those things where we're really fortunate to have some great curriculum and foundations in place, and we have a really strong partnership with First Things First, Arizona's preeminent early childhood program. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're also really proud to be one of the strongest providers in the state for our Young Adult Services program. So the Department of Child Safety provides a contract, a statewide contract, to help those children who are 16 and over who are preparing to age out of the system. And then those children who are over the age of 18 who have already aged out of the system, up to age 21, who need some additional support and guidance as they sort of maneuver adulthood after exiting the foster care system. So Arizona's Children's Association is the only statewide provider for that program across the state, and we're really proud to be partnering with DCS and serving this population. We have a really strong, robust program. To help with that, our staff are really committed to helping these young adults as they prepare for adulthood. Another big portion of that program is our mentoring program as well. And so this is something I would encourage everyone to take a look at if you really have some way of impacting youth. So obviously mentors can help young people in terms of, if they have a mentor, they're less likely to have issues around homelessness, incarceration, to teen pregnancy. Mentors can really help in terms of problem solving and giving some guidance to folks. And so it also can help in terms of setting goals towards graduation, job skills and stability, enhancing social skills, self-esteem, healthy adult connections and relationships. That's a really big component of being a mentor. Obviously, just listening is going to be important. So providing a strong, supportive listening environment for our young adults. If that's something you would be interested in, becoming a mentor, there's a process for that. So obviously you'd have to be an adult yourself. We'd like to know that you have some experience working with teens. Because this is a vulnerable population, there are obviously background checks and requirements for that we would have to go through. We'd also want to conduct an interview process, and that's to make sure not only that we get the right match for the youth, but also the right match for you. I mean, if you're planning on giving your time, you want to make sure that it's most beneficial with that. And then obviously, of course, we would provide some training to you for that, and then want to know about your commitment and time. So if that's something that you're interested in and want to learn more about, you can email us there at mentor@arizonaschildren.org, and our staff would be glad to get in touch with you to share more about that. So I was going to share with you all a little bit about our fiscal year highlights and just sort of the impact that we've had. So this is from fiscal year 2019. We just wrapped up fiscal year 20. We do a federal fiscal year here, so we don't quite have that information ready yet. But for fiscal 19, we are so excited. We serve 35,698 children and young adults across Arizona. That's just a huge impact. It's really exciting to see that. Plus an additional 5,326 families were part of that. So when we talk about over 40,000 families, that's how we get to it. And of course, we couldn't have done that unless we had the 2,292 donors that really help support us in our community service projects that we do. In terms of that impact, this here's a great visual in terms of just numbers of folks that we had served. Some just impressive numbers are the 20,133 children, youth, adults, and their family members that we served as part of our behavioral health program, which is very exciting. You'll see there we had 338 individuals or kiddos who found their forever homes by being adopted during the fiscal year, which is amazing. We had 338 kiddos who participated in our neurosequential model of therapeutics, which for really being a new program, that's an amazing number of kids that were able to benefit from that. So these are just numbers that we're really excited to share and are really proud of our class act staff who've really been able to help in terms of making sure that we have a good and positive impact on those that we serve. So just also so that folks know in terms of where our financial support goes and what it goes to help. So obviously it goes to ensure that we have safe foster and adoptive homes for children in need. So making sure that we've done thorough screening, that we're there to provide that support and guidance for families, especially during the pandemic, was really important. Obviously providing treatment and resources for those children and families that need help with addressing trauma or abuse. As you might guess, evidence-based practices and new practices are constantly coming out. So training is always an important aspect. So training and tools to promote successful child development are really key for us being able to meet our goal of being the #1 provider for children and family services in Arizona. As I mentioned, providing support for caregivers raising their relatives' children, particularly grandparents. That's usually who we encounter, who step in to care for their grandchildren, giving guidance to at-risk families who might have some issues related to safety that we want to assist them in terms of helping them stay together. And then of course, as I mentioned, our young adult program, so providing life skills and mentoring for those youth in foster care who are aging out of the system. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about how COVID-19's impacted our agency. So in March is really when things came to full fruition, I guess, basically with the pandemic. And I can't say enough about our overall agency and how quickly we were able to adapt. Everything from obviously our line staff, but our IT department, our development department coming out with messaging, our finance and compliance departments getting our billing things in line. All of that, basically over a weekend, we were able to transition to a virtual environment. And it happened really quickly. And actually, we were able to work the bugs out really quickly as well. So it was a pretty positive experience. So obviously, we ensured that we were following all state and federal guidelines to do all of that. So that was both on our behavioral health and child welfare sides. We did make a commitment, though, to keep all of our sites open. So we still kept all of our sites open because there were some families that either because of the needs of their children or because of limitations due to technology or some other issues, weren't able to participate in services virtually. So we did keep our offices open so that clients who needed to come in person were able to do so. There were also some programs that, because of how they provide the service, were required to still do face-to-face appointments as well. So we had those services in place too. So all of our locations were following guidelines from our public health authorities, including best practices, obviously, for infection control, hygiene, and team health. And I'm proud to say that we've been and we remain responsive to meeting the basic needs of those that we serve during this time of crisis. So initially, we had a lot of assistance, and we are so thankful for if any of you helped with that. We had a number of individuals who needed help with diapers, formula, food, clothing, because you might remember getting supplies was really a challenge in a lot of our areas, especially our remote areas. It was really a big deal. So that was a really big issue for us. Where we're headed now, things have obviously improved in terms of COVID. We're not out of the woods yet, but things have definitely improved. So where we're headed is DCS has made some directions effective last Thursday, so a week ago today now, that most of their services are now to be done in person. There's a few exceptions for that. So our child welfare staff have been gradually working towards in-person. And so now most all of our services on the child welfare side are back in person, with obviously some exclusions for safety reasons related to COVID. On our behavioral health side, we've been fortunate that our partners at Access have allowed a lot of telehealth and video conferencing capabilities for us. But we know that a lot of that is due to the emergency status. So the good news is that this has really opened up a new service array for us. So we're really working towards creating a more hybrid model where we have the ability for families to do either telehealth or in-person services. And obviously our big focus has always been providing services in the community and a client's home if that's more comfortable for them. So those are all three options that we're going to continue on our behavioral health side. And so we're formalizing our plans this month for a more open office situation. As I stated, we were open already, but really kind of figuring out what scheduling and space is going to look like at each of our 17 offices, as you might imagine, takes a little bit of time and preparation. So I've got a great team working to help us prepare for that. There are many ways that you all can get involved. So the first one, as I mentioned, becoming a foster or adoptive family would be great for a child. As I mentioned, right now during this pandemic, there's more need than ever for foster and adoptive families. So that would be a great way to get involved. Obviously, we went through how to become a mentor for youth. Hosting a fundraiser or a donation drive for us. We're getting ready for the holidays, so we have our Gifts of Hope process that'll be coming out. So making sure that all kiddos who are in care are able to get toys during the holiday season is really important. Obviously, if our mission is something that speaks to you, we're always looking for folks to join our team. So our website has information on how you can join our team. Obviously, you can stay connected with us, signing up for our newsletter, following us on social media. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't say there's always ways to donate. We always can use financial assistance. So you might consider making even a monthly donation to help us get through the rest of this calendar year with the pandemic. And then also our Amazon wish list helps in terms of purchasing items that have been identified by families that we serve. So these are all the ways that you can stay connected. And that's my update. So I think what we can do now is see if there's any questions that folks might have. If you have any questions, there should be a Q&A feature that you can click and just type your question in if you'd like to.
Questions that we send in ahead of time.
All right, so Barbara, our Chief Development Officer here, has some questions that were sent in ahead of time.
Great. Someone sent in and wants to know, what are you most proud of during your first year? What has surprised you most in your new post? And what are you most excited about in the coming year? Yeah.
Well, I would say what I'm most proud of is the fact that our staff have really been able to demonstrate by acting what resilience is. I know that we help a lot of families in terms of being resilient through a lot of trauma and difficult times. And I think what we encountered when I first started as interim really was pretty traumatic and eventful for all of us. But we all have been resilient and have been able to move through that. And so I'm really proud of our staff to be able to step up and come together through all of that. In terms of what I'm most looking forward to, I would say that I'm most excited about what's on the horizon. So we have several new ideas that we're looking at. So being a young adult provider, we're obviously looking to see what we can do to enhance those services even more. That population in particular has so many unique needs, and we really want to make sure that we're meeting all of those needs. So that's one area that we're focused on. We're also starting to do some great work with our partners at SARC, the Southwest Autism Resource and Research Center, in terms of developing our own autism program here at ASCA. So we're really excited about getting that underway.
Great. How much legal pull or involvement does the agency have in regards to DCS cases of the foster children placed?
Okay, so that's a good question in terms of the placement of children and what our legal abilities are in that case. So we aren't a placement agency. So basically DCS makes the decision to place the child, but once the child's placed, it's our job to assist in making sure that that child is safe and assisting DCS with checks for safety, and then also supporting that foster family in terms of helping that child and getting everything they need for that child lined up. So the court can ask our opinion on different things, but we really don't have that say in terms of where the child goes or what that looks like. So it looks like we have a question that was typed in.
We do. Can we still designate ASCA as a beneficiary at amazonsmile.com?
Yes, yes, we can. And if you
Absolutely.
need assistance with that, or if there's any issues with that, you can reach out to our development department. You can email Barbara
Right.
at cdo@arizonaschildren.org.
Correct. One of our attendees would like to know, did the organization meet its fundraising goals this year?
We did a great job, actually, considering that we were in the middle of a pandemic. So we reached about 90% of our fundraising goal for our fiscal year, which is wonderful, because obviously we had to cancel all of our events. So all of our events after March were canceled. Plus, Barbara, she just completed her first year here, and so there was a lot of rebuilding that occurred. And so we're really excited with where we are moving forward, and I was really proud of being able to accomplish what we did during the pandemic.
Another question, any noticeable shifts over the past year in state or federal funding that is placing one or more core services at risk?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I will say that our funding partners have all been very transparent with us, which I really appreciate. So from a DCS perspective, Director Faust has been very clear that the governor is very supportive of DCS and understands the importance of supporting children in care. However, I think it's important to note that, you know, the forecast for the state is that there's likely to be some budget deficits moving forward from a statewide budget perspective. So we are always alert to that and trying to keep that in mind as we move forward. On our behavioral health side, same thing with Director Snyder for access. She's been fantastic in terms of keeping us informed. And obviously with access, it's a little more complicated because a lot of their guidance comes from the federal government in terms of CMS. And so with the election pending, we don't know what that impact's going to be. We also know that, you know, right now at this point, Congress isn't really moving on any additional support at this time. So that's definitely something that we're being alert to. We know that the need has definitely increased. The membership for access is the highest it's ever been. So that's going to obviously have an impact fiscally for both the federal and state governments that we're going to also try to be aware of as we move forward.
This is a really interesting question. With a shift towards more online behavioral health services like telehealth, what has client engagement looked like over the past 6 months? And what are the greatest challenges in implementing a sustainable model for these types of programs?
Sure. So I will say that probably the first 2 months, it was exciting for everybody. You know, after they got working through the bugs and what technology was like, it was just a whole different way of doing things. And so it was exciting for folks. I think as time has gone on, especially now with school and all school districts being so different, there have been some more challenges with it, definitely. The newness has definitely wore off. If you have a kiddo who's at home learning virtually, trying to engage them after 6 hours virtually with therapy or with any type of thing along those lines can be more of a struggle. But also for families who are juggling, trying to do their job virtually, helping their children virtually, all those types of things. Having services virtually can be a lifesaver for them right now as well. So it's really unique kind of to each family to see how it works. So we're really glad though that we're able to include that in our business array at this time.
And one last question. Someone would like to know how we redirected our strategies and fundraising as a result of COVID, such as finding replacements for special events.
Yeah, that's great. So a number of things that we've done. First of all, I want to thank all of our community partners and foundations. I will say that many of our funders and grantors really shifted and adjusted to help meet the needs of agencies like us. By shifting their funding to help with COVID-related issues. So we were able to get some additional grants and funding that we probably wouldn't have been eligible for previously. So we really thank our partners for that. And then our team is always looking for new ways to engage. So we've been doing several virtual things along these lines. We've been trying to connect to our donors through the phone, through mail, those types of things. And then there's some things on the horizon that we're looking at as well, maybe some auction type of activities. And then too, if we have some more outdoor activities that might be able to happen, I know that we've historically had a big golf partnership in Yuma that we might be able to look at too for more outdoor, physically spaced, safe way to provide a fundraising event.
Those are all our questions.
Okay. Well, again, thank you all so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you all, and I hope that this was informative for you. As always, if you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to email us at info@arizonaschildren.org. And take care, be safe, and we will see you again soon.